So the flip side of using an energy wheel would be an energy core, right? So we do see in the ERV market around 50 to 60% can have a preference for cores over wheels. Typically, this is going to be in the lower airflow ranges, right? So less than 2,500 CFM. Anytime we're above that 2,500 number, we tend to see a pretty strong preference for wheels. So the biggest difference between wheels and cores, so right, the core is a static device. So it has no moving parts or pieces. It's a very simple design. The way it works, you can see this image here. Basically, it's a stack of fluted plates. Each one of those fluted plates is set at 90 degrees to each other, and then those airflows are allowed to pass over each other in the core. So it transfers both temperature and moisture across those plates. But the big advantage of it is it has very low cross leakage, right? So there is a physical divider between those air streams that prevents the air from leaking from one side to the other. Just as a note, you might hear a lot in your guys' market, the term HRV versus ERV. So typically an HRV is a heat recovery or a sensible only device, whereas an ERV is enthalpy recovery, meaning we're going to recover moisture. So this is what it would look like on a core in the winter. I apologize, can't get this guy to run, but so basically, you'd have your outdoor air coming in that top right, going across the core and supplying to the bottom left, and then returning on the bottom right, going across and exhausting on the top left. So it works the exact same way as the wheel. It's going to transfer both that heat and that moisture. And then, like I said, in the winter, it's just the exact opposite, right? So GreenHack, we do offer two different types of core material. These are two of the more common ones that are out in the market today. So there's a fiber membrane core or a polymer membrane core. So the differences between the two, typically that fiber core, essentially fiber, just a fancy word for paper. So it's a paper type core, whereas that polymer is a plastic core. A lot of competitors in the market are only going to offer that fiber membrane type core, whereas for GreenHack, we actually offer both. So the differences between the two, performance-wise, you can see the ERR number is definitely lower than a wheel. So our fiber cores range in that 50 to 60% number, whereas our polymer cores, we can usually squeeze about another 5% out, up to around 65%. That EATR number or cross leakage, like I said, it's very low, typically 1% or less. So I would call it practically zero, not quite zero, but very low. And then the biggest difference between the two is going to be the cleaning, right? So that fiber core, right, it is just a big paper core. You can't get it wet. If it were to get wet, it would get destroyed. So that is like a vacuum only type core, whereas that polymer membrane, now that is a washable core. So very similar to the wheels. Like I said, here you can see just, example of using that garden hose versus vacuum cleaner. Typically, it's around 5% increase in performance. And across our core models, we can usually push that airflow performance a little bit, right? So depending on the cabinet size, there is an increase in airflow by using that polymer core as well.